How soon after we stopped recording did you crack on and watch it last night?
Oh, just straight away. I just went in.
Really?
I just went in the living room and whacked it on. Yeah, I did notice, but I saw your message this morning. I thought I'll be speaking to him in a minute, so I won't reply. Yeah, it was fine. I mean, I can't remember. It wasn't that long ago that I watched it, but I did definitely need to watch it again because there was a lot that I didn't remember, or I was maybe misremembering it. I think if I'd have tried to wing it, I'd have, I don't know, maybe given the false impression of it, because how I remembered it in my head wasn't how it actually was when I watched it again, if you know what I mean. I seem to recall more stuff happening that didn't actually happen.
I can fully understand that because, I mean, as we'll get into it in a minute, I had never seen this film before. Yeah, but I was aware of that scene.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Now, good morning, folks. Everyone out there. This is the Dreadcast. This should be more hyper excited for the episode 50. The episode 50 spectacular.
Woo!
But wait. Woo!
Episode 50.
Episode 50, but we are recording. This is really, really early in the morning.
Early morning.
5 to 10 in the morning. Really, really early because we had a, I'm going to say technical fault. I'm going to say miscommunication fault.
It was my fault. It was my fault.
Hey, let's not
the wrong movie.
let's not say who did what.
No, it's quite all right. I'll hold my hands up. I was very prepared for a future episode and completely blanked on the film that I should have watched. So we sat down to record last night, and we did our trailer react for The Exorcist, which is available now. Should be available by the time you're hearing this.
It's up there. Go check it out.
And then we were set to crack on with the movie. And
what movie was that?
Quickly, it was not The Mummy, which I was well prepared for.
I mean, fair play to you.
I mean, I don't know how I blanked on it. It was just, I don't know, confused. I got confused. I just completely spaced on it and was like, yeah, right, all week I've been thinking, right, I've got to watch Mummy. I mean, you even showed me the thumbnails for this episode.
Oh my God, I did. I showed you the thumbnail. I showed you the YouTube layout window that I designed.
For today's movie, which is Society. But even having seen all that, it just did not register that the movie that I should have watched was Society.
We hadn't talked one bit about The Mummy or Frankenstein at all for weeks.
No, no.
And that's the one you chose.
And that's the one, that's what I thought we were doing. I was convinced. So that's what I watched. And I was well ready. Well, I guess I'm just ahead of the curve now, aren't I? I'm ready to go for when we do that.
You are. I mean, they're very different films.
They are very different.
For what today's very different films.
I mean, a lot of films are very different from today's offering. So yeah, that was my fault. Totally spaced. I can't really explain why. All I can do is apologize. But yeah. So I quickly watched that last night, and here we are the following morning to record.
With what I kind of assume might not be a 2-hour spectacular today, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, I think we always say that, and we always end up rattling on for a while. But I agree. I know what you mean, because I don't feel like there's a huge amount to talk about with this film.
No, and we'll get into it again properly in a minute. But I think the reason for that, which I pointed out, was that this film is 90% of build-up.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's great build. It's great build-up, in my opinion. But there's no building up to a kill like a slash film, and then we bring it back down again, and we build it up to another kill.
Yeah, no, there's no peaks and troughs.
No,
it's that roller coaster effect of you're building up the I think it's about an hour and 40 total length, and an hour 10, maybe just under that, about an hour to an hour 10 of that is just the build up to the smorgasbord of insanity that final 40 minutes is.
Yeah, so before we get into it, welcome back to the Dreadcast. One and all, myself, Tom, your lovely Aidan. This
Hello.
is episode 50, as we said. This is 50 podcast episodes. Obviously, we've done more content on the YouTube channel with trailer reactions and stuff, and it's not quite 50 films, as a few of these episodes are more discussion episodes, or topic episodes. Did some top fives. It's actually technically they're more than 50 films, so we've actually done more than the quota, so that's good.
But that's arguing semantics. It's 50.
Yeah,
it's 50 episodes. It's 50 episodes, which is a landmark.
It is
5 or half a century,
especially because everyone these days has a podcast. Everyone. Yeah. Like I said, everyone's sitting in the studio living room or set up living room with the Rode mics, looking at each other like, yeah, side to side, and then the camera point, it's everyone's got that, just talking, waffling on about some bullshit. But not us though. I mean, we're not like
everybody's got to justify those lockdown Zoom Teams meeting purchases.
Oh god, yeah,
that's what it is. Everybody was forced to buy webcams and microphones because they were now home workers. And now they're back in the office, but still need to justify all that money. So everybody started a podcast.
And people on the internet have to know my opinions. They have to know what I think about something.
I mean, well, that's it. We can't judge too harshly, though, because that's exactly what we're doing. But we're just doing it better than everybody else.
When I was doing that podcast, when I was doing that little visual list of all the 50 episodes we've done, and you can find that on Twitter and Instagram at the _Dreadcast. There it is. It's still very early, folks. That's the way to plug in the social medias there. But as I was doing that, I was thinking to myself in two minds. I had two minds, and one mind was, there's not really much left to do, is there? And then the other mind was like, hang on, there's like, even if we run out of all the classics, you just go to Amazon Prime and the clickbaity shitty films.
Oh, we can start doing the budget, bargain basement, the rip-off films, the paranormal incident movies.
Yeah.
There's a whole gamut of zombies, ghosts, sharks, demons.
Shark. We'll never run out of films.
No.
Never run out of films. But we just have to sprinkle in the classics and the good ones over time. We need a few.
Sure.
We need a few
classics.
Yeah, we need a few outwaters just dipped in there.
I mean, I don't think with horror movies. We've said this before, but with horror movies as a genre, you're never ever going to struggle for the movies at the lower end of the spectrum. You're just not.
You're really not. No. So I last week we probably went the longest we'd ever gone with our preamble of before we even talked about the episode. This week I personally have no show and tell. I got no props because the week's been manic. I'm even looking around my room now just in case I have and I've forgotten something. But no, it's been a boring week for old Tom over here. And nothing horror related, Started doing the artwork for today's episode, which Society. Obviously you've seen that. You saw that. You saw that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Saw that.
Yes.
You saw it.
Okay.
So yes.
Don't make me bring up the Lost Frankenstein recording.
Yeah, that was on me. Yeah. That was on me and the computer. That was technology's fault.
I mean, it wasn't really on anybody, but if you're gonna fire shots, I've got to fire something back, and that's all I've got.
Hey, did you make an apology video audio file saying
no?
Excuse me, folks. Here's Aidan Halfshot. I just want to put it out there that I forgot to watch Society, so we're going to have. I wanted you to record that last night, edit it. Put it out there to everyone.
I only needed to apologize to you. Everybody listening still getting the Society episode.
Send it to me.
We've just slightly recorded. We're just recording it slightly later than originally planned. That's all.
In fact, it's probably about 14 hours later than we originally.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm terribly sorry that I've had to get you up slightly earlier on a Saturday morning.
Hey, I'm not I'm not picking blame it. It's fine. We're not. I'm not.
It's like you are exactly.
I'm
That's
not mad.
exactly
I'm not
what you do.
mad. I'm not mad. It's fine. Yeah, it
You're
doesn't
just
matter.
disappointed.
Just disappointed. That's all it is.
Okay.
But yeah. How's about yourself?
I've got nothing. No, I've got nothing either.
Well, that's it, folks.
Just to go from one extreme to the other. Last week we went on for ages. This week, no, nothing. I mean, I guess the only sort of extra horror related thing I've really done was our trailer breakdown for The Exorcist. So once again, go check that out, folks.
Yeah, very mixed feelings about that.
Yeah, I ended up watching it again with Vic after we got off that. I was like, we did a trailer reaction for The Exorcist, and she's like, oh, can I watch it? I was like, yeah, sure. So I went back onto YouTube and we put it on and we watched it again together. And she's hyped for it. She wants to see it. And it's growing on me. I think watching it again, I thought actually, I'm gonna give it a fair shake of the old stick, fair whack. I think it's gonna be okay.
I think it'll be okay. I'm more intrigued about the other trailers, like we mentioned, that will probably come out. Not that we're going to do any reviews on them, but I'm more intrigued to see a little bit more.
Yeah,
just a little bit more. I mean, I know we kept comparing it to Evil Dead, but think of that Evil Dead Rise trailer. You're seeing is it Elle, right? Ellie?
God, I can't remember now. Yeah,
the mum that's possessed, but that's like that's like the first thing in the trailer. She's cracking the eggs, and then suddenly the whole trailer is her possessed. Now that does contradict what I've said about especially the Exorcist poster, because the Exorcist poster is similar to the Evil Dead Rise poster, where she's right there front and center with her possessed face, and the trailer showing her possessed face. And I did say you don't want to give it away too early. At the same time, I don't know, I feel Evil Dead gets that pass.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I kind of feel it's like the original Exorcist poster. If you put Reagan up front, especially back then, the 70s, you wanted the people to go to the cinema to go, "What's all this about?" And then faint in the cinema and have that sort of reaction after. Oh my god! Oh, I can't breathe. If they knew what they were going into, they'd kind of be mentally prepared. Evil Dead, I feel, just gets away with it. You know what Evil Dead?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah, but I'm just thinking previous Evil Dead posters didn't have that. I mean, the 2013 didn't have full-on reveal, but I think the a big part of the Evil Dead Rise promo was that it's a mother and her children, rather than a group of friends. It was a different dynamic. Okay, there was family stuff in the 2013 remake, or reboot, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But this was like they really sort of played up to the family ties, the family link, didn't they? So having that sort of mother figure, and she's got you can see the kids, and so I think that it was less about revealing what she looked like possessed and more about somebody's mother.
Yeah,
I think was what they were driving at with that. But I mean, nothing. The best thing about the promo for Evil Dead Rise was the title card reveal with the
so
coming
good
out of the lake. That was phenomenal. That's just absolutely brilliant scene.
Yeah, because you don't expect it.
No.
So I did just think before we do get into it, I should probably check the mailbag, because I feel like we have a pen pal now.
We do have a pen pal now. Let's see if we have another communique from Fun for How, but just another communique generally. And the mailbag, folks, if you do want to send us a message, is thedreadcastpod@gmail.com. As we always say, we'd love to hear your feedback, suggestions for movies we should watch, comments on what we've said, argue with us, tell us we're wrong about what we've said. But it's always great to hear from you. Get in touch.
I wasn't listening to any of that. Did you say the email?
Yeah.
Okay. Well done. I didn't even catch any of that. We do have a a little envelope with a little letter inside the mailbox today, and it is not from one fun. It's from one Mr. Cooperson.
Oh, nice.
Cooper.
Long time friend.
Yep, little short one here. Only a short one for me. Not even going to attempt to compete with the lovely fun for Hal. Hello, guys. With recent news of possible sequels to 1982's The Thing, that's news to me.
That is news to me as well. Interesting.
Is this news to everyone, and this isn't even happening? Can you just fact check this, please?
I'm just gonna have a look.
Okay. With recent news of possible sequel to 1982's The Thing, now begs this now begs a few questions. Is this something we want? No. I could categorically say that. I could say that for Aiden. I feel like I can definitely say that for Aiden and everyone. No.
The Thing 2 may finally be happening. 1st of June 2023 movie.
Oh, I do know this. This is John Carpenter said it in interview,
Yeah.
but he didn't outright say it's happening. I feel like his words were misinterpreted, as they would be by journalists. Does getting answers from the original in turn cheapen said original? Yes. Will they make the graphical mistakes of 2011's prequel? Yes. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. The 2011 prequel, which is stupidly still called The Thing.
Yeah.
Unless
you really knew about the film and the history and the franchise, that was kind of confusing, was it? I don't think people realised whether it was a sequel or a prequel or what exactly, or just a reboot.
Or a reboot. Yeah. But they had about 80% of the practical effects all done, and they look incredible. They look great. They looked as good as the original, and then they just scrapped it and went with CGI. And some of the CGI is it's really bad. It's really bad. As a film, it's not great. Also, for me personally, thinking it's not great, I've always got in my mind this didn't need to exist, so that kind of works alongside this not being great.
Forgettable.
Very forgettable.
I've seen it, but can I tell you anything about it? No. Off the top of my head, no, I can't.
I remember the monster jumps out of the big ice block. It's like,
you remember more than I do. Yeah, I remember nothing about that film.
Does getting answers from the original getting answers, that is one of the key things. Sometimes you don't need answers.
More often than not, you don't.
The ambiguity of the ending is perfect. You don't know who's the thing. A lot of people have said, I think it's Keith David is. It's either one of the two, Keith David or Kurt Russell, because one of them's not breathing. You can't see their the breath coming out, so it must be the thing. But it doesn't matter. They're gonna die anyway, or one of them is the thing. They're gonna freeze. That's the point, to leave it into interpretation. And there's a lot of films that they've then done the sequels to. It's like, we need to find out the answers. We need to know. No, you don't.
Yeah, no, we don't. No, you don't. No, we don't. It's because it's like you say, it cheapens the original. That is, like we are talking about it now. People regularly do talk. If you're talking about the thing, you talk about that ambiguity at the end. It's one of the talking points. It's a big thing about it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it interesting, and that's helped the longevity of the film, is that people still like to theorize about it and like to discuss and say, oh well, it could be this because of that, and it could be that because of this, and you end up and that helps, that cements it as one of the pinnacle films of the genre and what people love about it. So yeah, to just then whack out another sequel that's gonna tell us that, well, it's
gotta know,
it's pointless. And divisive, because you're gonna get half your fan base going, well, that's not what I think it is, that's rubbish.
Yeah. Imagine doing like end of Halloween, obviously sequel after sequel after sequel, but the ending of Michael being shot off the balcony and then disappearing, and then the final shots are kind of his POV shots of Haddonfield, but they're just shots of Haddonfield and him breathing. It's like, where is it? He could be anywhere. Leave it there.
Yeah.
Evil is still out there, and then he's still out there again and again and again. It gets worse and worse and worse. apart from part 4. Or the Blair Witch Project. Blair Witch Project, the ending.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that ending. There's so many interpretations. Did the quote unquote witch knock her over? Did one of the other friends knock her over? Did she just trip? And then we have to get to 2016's Blair Witch. Again, very similar to the title. Just take the off, Blair Witch. And it's trying to continue the story. We see the monster. It's just it's too much.
You don't need it. You don't need. I mean, that's the fear of the unknown is a big part of horror. So the more you show, the less horror. It's it's we talked about it in our discussion of what makes horror films scary and stuff like that. So endless sequels do just cheapen things.
Which there's a card right here for that episode of what makes horror films scary.
And that's what that's how you end up with franchises that end up being more comedy than horror. And silly, endlessly silly sequels, and they go to the monster goes to space, or the hood, or
hey, Jason X is awesome.
Jason X is awesome. Leprechaun in space, not so much.
Hellraiser in space.
In fact, Leprechaun went to the hood twice, I think, didn't he?
Did he?
I think so.
Oh my word!
But yeah, I don't. It's not needed.
No,
unless you're gonna do a completely different. Make a sequel, but don't make it a direct sequel. Give us more Thing.
Yeah.
In a different setting, they find one in a jungle, or I don't know, pick another area of the world and drop a Thing into it.
Well, that's kind of how I've seen the Predator franchise. So one, if you look at it in a simple way, one in the jungle. I think it was South American jungle, right? I believe.
Yeah.
2 in the city. There were no Predator films after that until Prey. I like Predators. I didn't mind Predators.
Predators is a fun popcorn movie.
Yeah,
it's all right. Yeah,
but then after that, there were no Predator films until Prey. Prey set in 1700s, I believe. 1700s, Native American. Like so you could kind of drop it in here and there. Like, give me
samurai for that.
Give me a samurai era of Predator going to hunt with a different design Predator. Maybe something like that. You could maybe do that with the Thing, because no one knows what the Thing is. No one knows how long it just is what it is. It could be there. It could be anywhere. It could be you.
Yeah.
Seeing how different timelines and cultures deal with this scenario.
Yeah, that'd work.
I guess
that'd be good.
I guess it's like what people talk about the Assassin's Creed franchise. Well, what era are we going to get? What culture are we going to get here? That's just quickly off the top of my head. I've just seen the games.
But it is that. But I mean, that is interesting. Give us the same thing. And I think I said this recently about something else we were talking about, and I can't remember what it was now. But it is essentially that. Don't do that. We've had one story.
Yeah.
We don't need that stuff. We don't need a continuation of that. That's done. We've done that story. Give us the same creature, the same mechanics, the same lore or whatever, but drop it somewhere else. Drop it into a different setting and see what happens. That's more interesting to me for a sequel.
Agreed.
For most things.
Agreed.
Oh, that was it. It was talking about the Alien prequels. Covenant and
yes,
whatever the other one is. We're talking about the Alien movies. Not need to see where the origin of the xenomorph. The xenomorph can just be the xenomorph. It can just be a horrible alien space bug, whatever, with acid blood. That's fine. I don't need to know where it was engineered or whatever.
That is peak. We don't need to know. Yeah,
and you can just drop the xenomorph into various different settings, and in theory, make a great alien movie. I don't need to know the history of the creature or where it came from. And if anything, what they did choose for it is awful as well. I don't like how it sort of ties into our prehistory and stuff. It's nonsense.
I barely remember Prometheus apart from them running away from the ship in the most stupid way possible. I never saw
Straight line.
Yeah, straight line. I never saw Covenant because of Prometheus.
You didn't miss anything, really.
And
it's arguably slightly better. There's a little bit more action, but it's meh.
We do have. I always butcher his name. Fede Alvarez, the director of 2013 Evil Dead.
I think it's Fede, isn't it?
His Aliens is coming out next, so I don't know. We'll see, but it's unnecessary.
Yeah,
unnecessary. So yeah,
I agree.
Thank you, Coop.
Thanks for the
great question. Nice question. I just have one quick thing to show you that I've just been hyped. I just checked my email and I ordered this back in November from Zavi, and they had a stock problem. I'm gonna quickly show you what's coming in the mail soon. Not quite horror, but it is beautiful. It is incredibly beautiful. Have a look at that, sir.
Is that the?
That is the Fifth Element collector's edition.
Oh, Fifth Element.
4K Ultra HD Steelbook,
nice.
including everything.
With all the purple there, I thought it was the color out of space for a second.
Color out of space.
Yeah, it's that Nicolas Cage.
Movie.
Oh yeah, very nice, very nice. Actually, I've made one purchase because I don't know where my brain's at the minute, but I thought I'd purchased this ages ago. And I was thinking, oh, that should arrive any day now. And I checked my eBay orders, and I hadn't actually ordered it, but a copy of Texas Chainsaw Next Generation. I've been for like the last week and a half. I've been thinking that should arrive any day now. We're gonna crack on with watching these, and I was like, "Where is it?" Check the orders. Hadn't actually ordered it. Just imagined that I had.
Where'd you order it from?
eBay. I don't know specifically Music Magpie or whatever.
What do you know what cover you got? Or the cover of the DVD you got?
Vaguely. There's a lot of red and black going on, I think.
Oh, so I think it could be the one with it's like a female with a mask holding a saw. I think it's either the other one is.
Yeah, it's not the one with McConaughey and.
That's my favorite one.
Zellweger.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. Oh, what a shame. Oh well, I look for fuck it. After our little break, we're doing next gen. We're doing it. I need to talk about it. Because you've never seen it.
I've not, no.
Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait.
But that does fill our reference to Texas Chainsaw Massacre quota for this episode.
That's it. Every episode, there's got to be a quota. We've got to fill it. I'm very happy with that.
And I suppose it does count as something that I have horror related that I have purchased recently.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd purchased weeks ago, like I said.
Hey, busy men. We're busy men.
We are. Indeed.
How can we do this? We're so busy because we're trying to fit into high society.
We're functioning members of
high society. That's not bad for just gone 10 o'clock in the morning. That's not bad. We'll go with that.
"1989 Society," directed by Brian Yuzna.
That guy has an amazing name.
Brian, I tell you who else in this movie has an amazing name. Our
the lead
protagonist, Bill Whitney, played by Billy Warlock.
Oh. They could have just kept his real name.
They should have just called him Billy Warlock. Yeah, it's brilliant.
We are the Warlocks.
Why? What a name! I mean, not why. Obviously, it's a family. Where does that family name come from, though? Is it his actual genuine family name? Do you think,
or is it his Is it his acting name?
Has he picked an acting name?
Yeah.
Or was he formerly a wrestler or something? Because
no, I would know that. I'll have you know.
Well, I figured you probably would, but it's very unique, isn't it?
This is a unique horror in general. This really is.
It very much is.
I'd never seen this film. Now I knew of that scene, but I've never seen it, and it's really strange that this doesn't fall in. You never see it fall in the category of all the classics in horror. I feel like, and I feel like it should. It's such a weird one.
I think it's got it. I think it's got its place definitely amongst fans of sleazy 80s trashy trauma-esque sort of basically everything I like.
Yeah,
like it's because, well, as for reasons we'll get to, it ticks all those boxes.
doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they talk about it in the In Search of Darkness doc.
Yes, I believe they do.
I would have thought.
I believe it's in one of them.
I think it's got that sort of cult. I think it's definitely got that sort of cult status. But yeah, maybe a little bit more of an afterthought. It's like, oh yeah, I love Toxic Avenger. I love Class Nukem High. I know I'm just naming trauma films as examples, but what's Sorority Babes in the Slime Bollarama or whatever it's called, the other one. And then, oh yeah, Society. It's like one of those. Oh yeah, have you seen Society?
Oh yeah. It's not one of those films that you get recommended by every like. Not everyone would recommend this film. I don't think.
No, probably not. I would.
Yeah, I agree. I would.
I'm just going to skip straight to that bit. I would. I think everybody should see Society at least once because it's so unique. Because it's just because it does have that. Because it's weird. It's very, very weird.
Yeah.
And
it starts off weird.
It jumped straight into it. Yeah. There's no. You feel like you've sort of walked into something halfway through, where the film picks up.
Yeah.
With, the opening scene is Billy, our main character, walking around his house with a knife in the dark, which then quickly transpires that that's a dream he's had, and he's talking to his therapist. But yeah, it just drops us straight into this family, following this teenage guy, this teenage lad who's in a wealthy family, and he's having some issues, anxiety related, mental problems about his family being him not belonging and his family being up to something unusual.
Yeah. They give that impression from the get-go. I never got the impression they were okay from the beginning. The scene at the beginning with his sister's ex is still kind of harassing her, and he's like hidden in her cupboard, and she's like, "Oh, what are you doing here? Get out!" And then he goes to save her. It's like, "Yeah, what the hell are you doing here? Get out!" Which is when their parents turn up. These wealthy Beverly Hills socialites, you might say.
I mean, that's exactly it, isn't it?
But
Beverly Hills High Society,
the way they talk, their mannerisms, you just instantly like, there's something up with you guys. This is not how parents would react. They don't. They're either that or they're very. They're all very close, shall we say? Which they kind of are very close.
Yeah, I mean, before we get the reveal to just what's going on, there's a lot of hints.
Yeah.
Not even hints. I mean, there's kind of an uncomfortable daddy-daughter morning bedroom massage scene happening.
Oh my god, there is. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, we are. Yeah, like you say, we are presented very quickly with the notion that something's not quite right.
Yeah.
With this family, they're maybe a little bit too close, and yeah, Billy is basically having these feelings like he doesn't belong, like he's adopted, like he's not part of this family in the true sense of the word, and that's what we get for a lot of the film. Is
For the most part, yeah.
For the most part of this film, it is. I think it's described as being a black comedy, but also a mystery, and that's really accurate because it is.
Yeah. It's got a bit of boner comedy aspect to it as well.
There's a little bit of sort
Yeah.
of Porky's, those other sort of 80s Animal House, those other sort of 70s, 80s.
Like with
high
Billy on the
school.
beach and the cool guy is over there, the cool guy at school.
Yeah.
And Billy's like the girl he's seeing or his girlfriend's like, we gotta get invited to his party. Like his pool party. We gotta go and try and swindle your way into this party. Go try and butter him up. That's very like boner comedy, like the cool kid, the jocks having the party. The cool kids can come.
Definitely got. I mean, a lot because it is set in sort of 80s Beverly Hills. There is a lot of that. I mean, we have the scene in the debate in the auditorium where Billy's giving what they call it, debate club or something.
Yeah, I think that's such a weird thing that they have. I mean,
it's I mean, there's a lot of very American.
Yeah.
Like sort of stereotypical high school things going on here, and as a couple of Brits, we've seen it a lot in cinema growing up and movies, and I've never really been quite sure of just how accurate it is. But we've got the debate team, we've got class president elections, and it's also sort of centered on one of the main things that's happening is Billy's sister is about to attend her coming out party, which I also feel is like a very American high society concept, where they basically throw a party because they're old enough to start dating. Is that what it is? Is that that's the impression I've always taken from it, is like they sort of they hold it at like about 16. It's like, you sort of
Here it is.
Tell us what it is.
I popped to Goog to see what an American coming out party was. And what's even funnier is what it's called, because it reminds me of course, The Simpsons.
Okay.
It's the debutante ball.
That's it.
It's the one with Mr.
I knew there was
it's the one with Mr. Burns' son, Rodney Dangerfield. She came out last spring. Whoa, put her back in. She's not done yet. Debutante ball, sometimes called coming out party, is a formal ball that includes presenting debutantes during the season. This already sounds icky. It's very,
I mean, I think it's a bit of a throwback to.
Yeah. Debutante balls may require prior instruction in social etiquette and appropriate morals. Does it say an age? Dress code, don't care about that. It's a symbol of upper class femininity.
I mean, that's the thing. It is an upper class thing, but I don't know if we have not being upper class. I don't know at all, but I don't know if we have a British equivalent for this.
In the United Kingdom, the tradition with debutantes ceremoniously presented at the British Royal Court during Queen Charlotte's ball was discontinued by Queen Elizabeth in 1958.
Oh, there we go.
So it's quite old.
I mean, I think it is. It sort of. It reminds me, going from sort of the British perspective, at least, of that sort of like medieval thing of you've got a daughter that's come of age and you want to marry her off to another family, and sort of it's got that kind of air about it, and I think it is sort of a throwback to, if it still goes on. I mean, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. This
18 years old.
Oh, it's 18. Okay.
Yeah. Excuse me.
I mean, that makes more sense. But yeah, always thought of it as a very particular American thing,
for sure.
But yeah, the fact that it's an upper class thing is obviously a whole theme of this movie, is that it's about high society, it's about the rich. But yeah, there's a lot of goofy high school Americanisms,
I guess.
Americanisms.
Yeah.
which you'll be used to from these sorts of movies.
It's also got those sort of, I guess, Americanism, because it's more so, I think, in American films, especially around this time, and TV shows. All these kids, they look about 30. The cool guy, is his name Bill? No, Billy's our main.
Is he not Ted? Is he not Ted? Theodore?
Maybe Theodore.
I think he is, because I'm sure, doesn't he call him? Oh God, I can't remember now. There's a name for him at the end. Ted
I got it here. It's not. Oh, Ferguson. It's Ferguson.
Ted. I think it's Ted Ferguson though.
So he's the cool kid. He's the jock, right? But he looked so old, so much older than what they're meant to be. And I'm just trying to get his age now.
Ted the Tycoon. That's what they call him towards the end.
Ted the Tycoon. Well,
yeah, in the punch-up scene that happens in the final act.
I'm annoyed. I can't find his age, but yeah, he looked at least 30, 35. Yeah, and they do that for a lot of American TV shows. I mean, they're always so much older than their actual age that they're trying to portray.
Yeah.
I think back to something.
I mean, they're definitely not 18.
Something like Saved by the Bell, right? When they grow up, they're jacked. Yeah, they might play for the football team, but they're jacked. I was so skinny at school. I friends. No one was jacked with muscles, and it's just
Mario
ridiculous.
Lopez was 45 when they filmed the college years episodes.
Oh my God, the college years. Yeah.
I mean, that's not a fact, obviously.
Well, it is now. It is now. That's real. That's going on Wikipedia.
Saved by the Bell. Saved by the Bell is a good
Fantastic.
call.
It's fantastic.
Because there's a lot of. I mean, I made a note of it at one point. Somebody calls Billy. In fact, Billy calls Ferguson a butthead.
He calls his dad a butthead.
He calls his dad a butthead as well, which there's a lot of foreshadowing in this film as well. But yeah, I feel like butthead is such an 80s Americanism, like such an 80s American insult. Yo, butthead.
Yeah. Yo, goober.
Or that, you wasteoid.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that going on. It's good. But yeah, as we so get back in on track. As we've said previously, like a good bulk chunk of this film, it's an hour and 40 runtime, and a good hour of the film is build up, and this sort of mystery element of what's really going on. And we know Billy's got, he's having mental issues. He's seeing a therapist. He's put on medication. So we're not entirely sure if what he's seeing is real. If it's if it's a figment of his imagination. There's lots of mysterious goings on.
Yeah. And the only person that is really aware of what's going on, is Blanchard, his sister's ex, the one that was in the cupboard, and he gives him a secret recording of one of their parties.
Well, I think it's her. I think it's his sister's debutante.
Oh, it is that.
Ball.
It is that.
I think that's a recording from that,
where they're all having a gay old time. They're all having a joyous old time in this debutante ball. Sounds a bit gooey in the recording. A little bit gooey. A little bit icky.
There's a lot of macaroni being
There's
stirred.
There's a lot of it. Yeah.
It was a big old pasta party.
It certainly was. And he's still just not buying it, right? He kind of is. He's kind of like, what the hell is this?
He's got a weird. It's a weird reaction to it. It is a weird reaction to it. But that tape recording is a good example, because he takes that off to his therapist and like says, listen to this. This is proof that something weird's going on, and that essentially he says that like his family are incestuous. Like, listen to this. This is proof. And then he meets with him. He's like a day or two later, and essentially the tape is perfectly normal, perfectly innocent, and
Yeah, that was. They never really explained that, did they?
well, I think it's meant to be like, is Billy hearing things? Has Billy heard something and he's having a bit of a episode? Or the alternative, which Billy suspects, is that the tape recording has been switched and that's not the original
Yeah.
tape that he's been given. Because that's when he contacts his friend Blanchard and says, "Can you get another copy of the tape?" And he arranges to meet him. And when he heads to the meeting point, there's been a car accident and his friend is dead.
Yes, coincidentally, yeah. With our, I wouldn't know if I wouldn't really say it's a trope, but you've got the very aggressive police officer.
Yeah.
That just
I think that's just American police.
Yeah, you're right.
I think that's just how they are.
Like, won't listen to reason, won't listen to anything, and will basically arrest you for breathing. Because it was right outside Billy's house as well, right?
I think it's like a local. It's the corner of Sunset and Wilshire, I think he says, or whatever it is. It's
yeah,
but I figure it's somewhere close by.
Yeah,
somewhere in the neighborhood.
Do we see his body being taken away?
We see a body under a sheet being put into the ambulance.
Yeah.
And later on, we see an open casket at his funeral.
That's it.
And then, which they prod, and it like sort of falls in. Why they decide to prod?
Oh, his cheek.
Yes.
Yeah. Milo, Billy's best friend, who is a genuinely good friend to him. He's always there for him. He's at the funeral and pokes Blanchard's cheek, and it just cracks like paper mache, like a shitty paper mache.
Yeah. And they surmise that he's had some like post-mortem facial reconstruction. See, I think it was after his accident.
It was around this point that I was because, like I said at the beginning, I had never seen this film. I knew what that scene was that we'll get to, but I didn't know what it was about. I at this point was starting to think, okay, we're getting a bit Invasion of the Body Snatchers here. We're getting a bit of like an alien vibe. Are the parents his real parents, or have they been taken over? Was Blanchard real? Is it an alien? Is there going to be a little alien inside Blanchard's head controlling it, like Men in Black? You know. So I was getting a bit of a few vibes like that because, yeah. So is that implying that that's not his real body and they've taken him off to the hospital because then he comes back later?
That's what we later find out. Yeah, that's not his body.
Yeah.
It's and presumably was or possibly was him under the sheet, but he's not. He wasn't dead. Yeah. Essentially, we found out later that he's not dead, and it's all part of the society's activities. Basically, this is sort of what they do. Yeah, we say like we mentioned that it is what's going on. A conspiracy. We sort of, it's built up like, is it a conspiracy, or is it a product of Billy's psychosis, his imagination? He tends to see people. There's a couple of points in the movie. One is his sister in the shower, and another is I can't remember the girl's name, but he's sort of. It's not his girl, Clarissa. Is it Clarissa? It's not his girlfriend. But it's a girl that he sort of ends up with through the course of the movie. And they appear to him as like contorted versions of themselves. So he goes into the bathroom in one scene while his sister is in the shower to get some suntan lotion, I think. And he can see the outline of his sister through the frosted glass of the shower door. And essentially her top half is on backwards. So we see butt and boobs and face, and she's watching herself. And to which point he opens the shower door, and she's obviously stood there perfectly normal and covering herself and questioning what the hell he's doing, opening the shower while she's. I mean,
fair enough. Even if she was doing that, he's still opening the door without asking to his sister naked. You know, it's That's on Billy, I think, that one.
I think so. But there's lots of he keeps finding things in his car, doesn't he? That it's like people
Yeah, like a
basically
doll.
mocking. It's basically people mocking, or a mysterious, an unknown prankster is mocking him.
Yeah.
About the fact that he's seeing a therapist. So I think the first is a Ken doll with a screw in its head.
Mm.
Then there's a shrunken head in his locker. Head shrinker being the slang for therapist, psychiatrist, or whatever. Then later on, after he's had his dalliance with Clarissa, it's a blow-up sex doll with her name on it, with a man.
Doll.
In
Yeah,
its
yeah,
mouth.
that's it. Yeah.
Which I think we find out his girlfriend has done that, because she's figured out he's cheating and confronts him.
Yeah, she doesn't really play much part in this film, does she? Really?
She
just wants
doesn't,
to get to that party.
She doesn't. But this sort of first part of the film, there's not a great deal of plot, really.
No.
It's just the sort of string of mysterious sequences sort of stapled together. So we have Blanchett's death, we have the recording, and then we have Blanchett's death, and then we have him hooking up with Clarissa and her being a little twisted up, and her mother being incredibly strange.
Yeah, I put a note down about her that I did not understand throughout the whole film what her deal was about.
There's a lot of that as well. There's just stuff that happens.
Yeah,
and you just have to go with it. You're not getting any explanation for it. There's no rhyme or reason for it. But Clarissa is this, beautiful, intelligent woman. Little bit of a man eater. I think we're led to believe she's flashing him during the debate scene, and
here she comes.
She's
Watch
a bit
out,
spicy.
Boy. She'll chew you up.
But her mother is a hulking mute that eats hair.
With she's had a blast of Homer's makeup shotgun.
Yeah,
on her face.
Very heavily made up. Yeah, very very odd, very odd. But we don't get any explanation as to why she's like that. There's no father figure around. Presumably, we never see one. She's just the character that's there, and it's just an odd character for an odd character's sake, I think.
Yeah.
Then we get his debate partner. I think it's Ferguson's brother.
Oh, his younger little nerdy brother.
Yeah,
he goes missing, and all these. Becomes one of them eventually. Yeah.
And Billy has this moment where he's saying, "Oh, he's dead. I went out last night and his car was covered in blood." And they go back to the car later, and it's not covered in blood, and it's a different car. And
that was it. Young, what was his name? You literally just said it. Ted Ferguson's brother. Yeah. Petrie, that's it.
It's something like that, yeah.
He asks Billy to meet him in like the woods later on because he wants to talk to him about what's going on. And then that's where you find he's not there in his car. He's gone. And no one. I think is there a police officer there as well?
A police officer's there, and there is a car there, but it's not the same car.
That's it. That's
says,
it.
Oh, the car's covered in blood and he's missing. But they find a car that's not covered in blood, and it's saying it's a different car. And there's a lot of this sort of it's at this point, I think we're kind of in on it that something is happening to make Billy look. Somebody's attempting to make Billy look crazy. I think it's not. It's a subtle switch, and there's no like definite rhyme or reason for it. But I think by that point of the movie, the things that are happening are so out there. Like I say, he has this big, like almost meltdown on the school stage, and he's saying like, "Oh, Petrie's dead. He arranged to meet me last night, and I found his car covered in blood, and he's been killed. He's been murdered." At which point he walks out on stage and was like, "Oh, sorry, I'm late. I've had some car trouble."
Yeah.
So and everybody starts laughing, and it does feel like it's very deliberately set up to make him look.
They're all in on it. They look like they're all in. But what that scene is hilarious. The way it's shot, that the camera is panned at the stage in the hall, the school hall, and he sort of It's not exit stage left. It's enter stage left, and he just walks on. Like, how did it came out of nowhere?
Yeah, unless there's no way that he's like walked in. The doors of those auditoriums are usually at the back, aren't they? There's no way he's like walked in the door and Billy's not seen him coming in and walking down. He's coming through the wings. He's coming through the wings.
Can I?
But go on.
I'm sorry. No, you go.
Oh, I was just reiterating that point again, that we've got a lot of mystery, and it is these sort of weirdly disjointed scenes without much plot. Like he cheats on his girlfriend, but she, finds out, calls him an asshole, disappears. She doesn't come back into it. He gets to go to before that he does get to go to the cool party. Has a little bit of a run in with Ferguson, who throws him in a pool. In fact, that's what leads up to him cheating on his girlfriend. But yeah, we just get a lot of the same sort of thing, really. Then there's a lot of foreshadowing, a lot of lines. We have this weird daddy-daughter massage thing.
It's very weird, their relationship. It's very what they become. The one, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
This cult. Look, IMDb describes this right as gruesome orgy cult.
Gruesome orgy cult.
I guess at some points, but you do see them, all these characters that are part of said society later on in the film, still messed up in their own way, especially like the dad, who is a butthead. And like they're all just sort of messed up, and they can transform in their own way. It's not just this. They all like to go for this gruesome orgy cult thing.
Shunting is what they call it.
There it is. There's the name. I did write that down as well. It's called the Shunting. But yeah, like they're not aliens. They're just a primitive, I guess, alien form on Earth, not from outer space, that have been here since the dawn of time or whatever.
A primitive organism.
It's kind of like
it's another species, is what they say, isn't it? It says it's another species.
I nearly said it's kind of like a society of some sort. Yeah, it is like a society. It's like a fraternity, because that's very American. How long fraternities have been around? Like, oh, this house has been here, since the Kappa, Bappa, Dappa, Delta, Omega days. They're so proud of it. Like, this is like the big, the high echelon fraternity where it's all the socialites. Before I need to interrupt you, I want to, if we could quickly, I completely missed this. Take it back to the beginning of the film, just for 1 second.
Yeah.
The opening credits are wild for this film.
Oh yeah.
Because it basically shows the shunting, bit
does.
blurry, bit dark. You can't really see everything, but it's right there from the get-go in the opening credits.
It is. You're right, and it's kind of it is all sort of blurred out, and it's like like when you used to try and watch the naughty channels as a kid, and they were scrambled. If you stare at it long enough, you can maybe make something out, like a naughty 3D magic eye picture.
It's a little bit like in Species, where she kept imagining Syl as the alien life form.
Yes,
they're sort of spinning around. They're at an angle. It's a bit blurry. You can't really see what's going on. It really reminded me of that.
But it wears its weirdness on its sleeve, like right from the get-go. And like I say, it kind of tries to throw you red herrings by making out that by telling us that Billy's in therapy and on medication.
Yeah.
But there's the scene with the parents comparing, like looking at this plate of slugs.
Outside, yeah.
And they're talking about how it's a really good crop this year, and they look really great. And they just. And Billy doesn't comment on it. It's just that's what they're doing, and that's and even after he sort of runs off, they carry on to continue talking about how great these slugs look. There's a lot of foreshadowing, like the kids on the beach, running up with their water pistols and shouting "alien scum."
Yeah.
There's a couple of other instances that I didn't actually make a direct note of. The calling his dad a butthead. There's Yeah, there's a lot of foreshadowing and a lot of my notes basically say lots of running about, mysterious things being mysterious, then the last half hour ...
There's a lot of Billy with a concerned, confused face on the whole time.
Yeah.
Huh? What's going on? Huh? What?
Which
But
I think is mirrored by the audience. I mean,
Yeah.
if you've not seen it before, you are a bit like, well, what is going on? Where is this going? What's this leading up to?
We're
I
finding
mean,
out as Billy's
it was your
finding
first
out.
watch, so is that how what you were thinking while you were watching this?
Completely. I mean, I think my opinion changed a lot throughout the film. Like I said, I thought it was a bit of invasion of body snatchers, a bit of like, are they actual aliens? And then kind of leading to, I know that scene's coming, but I don't know what is instigating this scene. I don't know the reason for that scene, what the context behind it is. Mm-hmm. From the first time I saw that scene, the only time I saw that scene, long time ago, might have been at university. So we're talking over 10 years ago. And my memory of it was, yeah, they're like, this is X-rated. They're having an orgy. They're all literally fucking each other, but they're bonded with each other somehow.
Yeah.
But it's not quite that. And we'll get to it in a minute, because there's still a little bit more to talk about, but I think we'll get to it in a minute. But it's not quite that.
No. I mean, it's not entirely clear what it is.
No, it's really not. No, it's not. Yeah, we do need to talk about that, I think, because
I mean, we're not far off. I think
we're not far. Oh, I did put. You mentioned the worms. This film suffers from that problem that I really don't like. Is if there's any kind of bugs or worms or insects, they apparently make a gooey crackling sound. Like,
oh right, yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard a bug or a worm make that sort of sound. It's the gooey sort of like if you put your hand in some fucking macaroni and cheese.
Yeah. But we've got the worms in the apple. That's an 80s movie. Horror movie thing. They love putting worms in food.
They just appeared. That he bit into it, and then there's more worms on there than there would have been the bit he bit off the apple. So where did they come from?
Well, but again, it's the Lost Boys noodles, rice.
Yeah.
Bit all over again. It's
they're making this sound, this horrible gooey, gruesome sound, and it's so over the top. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think you really get that. I think you would get that nowadays. It's a very cheesy sound effect.
Yeah, but worms, like I say, worms and aliens do keep cropping up.
They do.
Although aren't hugely relevant, really.
They don't even eat worms. Like later on, worms are brought up back at the high society party, right? But there's like a waiter there with like a little tray of like a worm, sir. Would you like a weenie? Or would you like a worm? And you don't see them get eaten. It's not like it's their nutrition. It's what they need to survive. They're just
I'm
they're
not
just
sure.
There.
Maybe they're akin. Maybe it's like they're related in a familial way.
Maybe
because there are some sort of flatworms that breed by just like splitting off, and the shunting is kind of a version of that, although in reverse.
It's like in Men in Black, where Will Smith kills all the cockroaches and pisses off the alien.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that your brother?
This must be your auntie.
So the waiters basically got the kids on a tray. I'll look after them.
It's weird, but again, as we've said, there's a lot of weird stuff that's just weird.
It's just a weird film.
It's just weird.
It's just weird.
But as we said at the beginning, you are just dropped right into the middle of this weirdness, and this weirdness is just happening. It's not like there's no point in a lot of these sorts of films. You'll have like the opening, scenes, the setting the scene, the introduction of the characters, and life is perfectly normal, and then there'll suddenly be an event where that triggers the beginning of the weirdness. We're just dropped into the middle of the weirdness, and the weirdness continues,
and I like
just
that.
Gets weirder. I like it as well.
I really like it. That it just
again,
you just go, just go. Yeah, not hanging around. We're just going.
Yeah, no, there's no need. It's like, oh, what's going on? And let's keep watching and find out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you do ever really find out, to be quite honest. If things get weirder and weirder and weirder, and then it ends. There's no real resolution or
You also
massive explanation as to what exactly is happening.
Whilst throughout the film you are discovering everything along with Billy, you're like, it's a film you don't know who to trust. No. Throughout the whole film, you don't know who to trust. There could be a twist that Milo is even part of it, but you just the whole film, because of the fact it starts like and it's like go go go, you're in this ride now. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I'm a bit skeptical. I don't know who to trust with this. I don't know what's going on. So it's just us and Billy,
Yeah.
and we're gonna find out what's gonna happen eventually.
And even Billy, we don't know if we can trust Billy for a good portion of it.
Yeah.
Because we've been shown and told that he's on medication and has, some sort of anxiety or delusional perception about what's going on. He can't necessarily be trusted. This may, up to a certain point, this may all just transpire that it's just part of his psychosis. Because we really don't know.
I think especially the scene they finally capture Billy. They drug him. But that felt very, I don't know, it didn't feel right because he gets drugged, wakes up in a hospital, and in his hospital room there's like the screen door when you can see the silhouettes of something happening behind, and he goes and there's nothing there. So either that his paranoia or they were there and they've disappeared, but either way he escapes and then he starts acting really weird. He starts acting really differently from his character that you've known for the better part of the film. But the point of that is like they've drugged him and he escapes without any problems or hassle. It's not like they've drugged him and kept him there locked up. Why did they drug him in the first place for him to then be... It's like they drug him and then he goes back to the film again. Back to where he was in the film.
I don't know. Maybe there's another an edit out there that links it up. But I think we're meant to believe that it's set up that they're anticipating what his next movie is going to be, and he'll come to them. But it's a bit of a risky move because they don't know that. But there is reference to it being a hunt as well. In the party scene at the end, they talk about it being a successful hunt. But it's strange. I think we need to just cross that threshold and talk about this end scene where we get our reveals, and a description of exactly what's well, as much as we get a description of what's going on. So he makes his way to the big. It's not entirely clear whose house it is. Is it?
Is it not his house?
Is it his house?
I think it is. Like, I'm fairly certain it is because.
I think you're right.
Right at the end of the film, I'm not going to say how, but where his car is placed, I believe it's the same location as to where his car is placed at the beginning of the film. So it's the same house.
I think you're right. I think you're right for another reason as well, because as he gets back to his house, his parents are throwing a party and everybody's there, and it's his doctor's there. There's this judge character as well that seems to be the leader. Yeah, which we haven't met yet, I don't believe. No, but he's been referenced a couple of times, and it's like a big deal. I think his parents tell his sister called Jenny. His parents tell Jenny that Judge, what is his name? Judge something or other is going to be there. He's not credited anywhere, but
let's have a look.
I mean, it will. It's all cast and crew. I'm on. He's not coming up as one of the main characters.
Judge Carter.
Judge Carter. He's mentioned, so Jenny's told like, oh, Judge Carter's going to be there, and it's like it's a big deal. So he seems to be the sort of head of the society. who basically congratulates the parents for raising. There's the fact that a successful hunt has been mentioned as they bring out Blanchard. And Billy's restrained, and then his parents are credited for raising such a fine specimen in Billy. So it's essentially revealed that Billy was right and he is adopted. He's not their true child. And they've been looking after him all these years to essentially feed on him, I think, is what happens. So, quick snap with chants of shunt, shunt, shunt. Out comes the KY jelly and everybody immediately gets naked.
Yeah. Can I would like to do something just before we get into this.
Okay.
If possible.
Okay. Of course.
Can we just have you ever watched the trailer for this film?
I don't believe
because
I have.
haven't either. I figured it'd be quite cool just to watch the trailer and see
what it shows us.
What it showed before we did, because that would really give the impression to someone before they watch this film they have no idea what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be back in a sec, folks. Okay, so we just quickly popped on the trailer, the one on the IMDb. I think there may be the odd one or two more. There might be like a extended trailer or red band on YouTube knocking around. But the one we watched was like the IMDb page. But I'd say about 80% of that could be interpreted maybe as like his family, their socialite group literally just don't feel like their child fits in with them.
Yeah.
That's it. Until I think it's Ted, the first scene where his tongue literally extends out and he says like, "This it's a high class society. We suck the life out of scum like you, or lower life people like you." I think it's from that point onwards you then get the impression, okay, no, there's something else going on here. Maybe alien monster-esque.
Yeah, we get some of the body horror stuff and we see some of the mutations or whatever.
If you had cut it before that, I think that would have been a better trailer, because then people going into this film going, okay, what is this? Whoa, okay.
The bulk of it, apart from there's shows a few dead bodies and things, but the bulk of it is that he's got some mental issues and he's basically being bullied by the rich kids.
That.
And it could just be a sort of, a teenage revenge drama story or something, albeit maybe a bit tongue in cheek and comedic, but sort of Revenge of the Nerds kind of vibe. It certainly doesn't do any big reveal. At least that trailer doesn't. So we don't see the full sticky horror of exactly what the society is.
The only close we get is the therapist where his head turns into a hand.
Yes.
Which that gave me very Peter Jackson sort of vibes.
I made that exact note. The end is very reminiscent of Bad Taste, I think.
Yes.
I think the music, I think the sound director used the music that scores the scene is all very similar to. I mean, I guess maybe Brain Dead as well, but specifically Bad Taste is what came to my mind. I do really like the shot of the therapist's head and the hand sort of coming through as well, like the mirror image of or repeated image, I guess. That is a cool shot. But yeah, we have Billy captured.
Yeah.
And
for one thing, also that trailer, we get no shunting.
We do not get any shunting.
Yeah.
But we do. So we do get a little bit of the slight precursor, just what happens just before that scene, in which Billy's parents basically say to him, or his father says to him, that you're not one of us. You never have been. the judge mentions that they are, and at which point I think Billy calls them alien scum, and
yes, he does. Yeah,
the judge says, "No, we're not aliens. We're very much from Earth.
yeah.
But we are a different species. We've been here, since time began." And it's at that point that they bring Blanchard out, and he's alive, and he's just been captured by them, and he's brought out naked, and then everybody else gets naked, and they all latch onto him.
I mean, how do you describe the shunt? For one thing, the word shunting makes me think of trains or boats, because isn't that a term to shunt something? Like trains get shunted.
Yeah,
down
that
the line,
is the one of the main uses of the word. So my notes go shunt, shunt, shunt. Out comes the KY, fingers in the butt.
Fingers or the whole arm.
He wears him like a glove puppet.
It's how do you describe that? How do you describe that?
It's basically cross between a feeding frenzy and an orgy. And I think that's deliberate, that it's not entirely clear whether they're breeding or feeding. It's a little bit of both, I think. It's meant to be a little bit of both.
Yeah, Blanchard is their, like, sacrificial lamb. He's like their prey in a way. And he's sort of put front and center, and when the KY jelly comes out, the clothes come off, they start to latch on to him. And, like, it's...
Yeah,
the mouth
extended
and becomes, like, I guess, a passageway from their mouth to going inside his body. It's so hard to describe, man.
But they do sort of like going inside. There's a scene where I think there's like fingers probing on somebody's backside, and the fingers are just like
they go in.
It's quite a clever prosthetic, I guess. It's like a
fantastic
a silicone bum, I guess, with holes going in. But because of all the KY and everything, it just seamlessly slips it. And I don't mean like up the sphincter in the bum. I mean like as if there were finger holes in the actual fleshy part of the cheek. They just slip in. There's a lot of kind of body merging and
as effects. The effects are incredible. I feel like the effects are great.
By and large, I think there's a couple of like cuts where the mask isn't quite, the sort of mouthpiece mask isn't maybe quite as blended as it could be.
But they mask a lot of it with the lighting, similar to what we talked about with Light Species. If you do the lighting right, you can mask a lot of duds and bad effects.
But generally, yes, it's Screaming Mad George, isn't it?
It is. And I've only just discovered, and I'm really happy that what I've just discovered. They did the effects for Faust. And of course they did the effects for Faust because a woman turns into a tit puddle in that film. If you've ever seen Faust, it's like shit Spawn.
I haven't, but I'll add it to the list.
Oh, you will love Faust.
Just Faust. For the phrase tit puddle, I think I'm going to watch that movie.
Faust is
he also
mad.
did Beyond Reanimator, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I mean a whole bunch of other stuff. The effects are great.
They are. They really are.
But on the whole, as I say, a couple of slight exceptions, but generally it does look great. And the shunting is this sort of cross between a feeding frenzy and a breeding frenzy, and everybody sort of latches on to Blanchard, and they're all melting into him, and then the judge gets involved and essentially puts his hand up the back pass. It operates him like a glove puppet essentially, and his hand comes out of his mouth, and they're stretching bits of him, and they become rubbery and sort of meld and intertwine with each other and with the thing they're feeding on, and it's gross. It's disgusting, and that's what it is. And Blanchard is essentially the appetizer if Billy is going to be the main course.
Do you remember what the judge says before he puts his whole arm and up? He does have a specific quote.
He does. We're going to get something about getting to the bottom of the situation, or
I think it might be something like that. Yeah,
it's something like that. It is like, well, let's get to the bottom of the predicament, or
And he's always got his
And then-
cigar in his mouth. Get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, it's horrible. So while everybody is going to town on Blanchard, Clarissa frees Billy. He's and Milo's there disguised as a security guard as well. He's walking
With
around and...
Clarissa's mum.
Yeah.
Just like, don't touch the hair, because she's just in this like catatonic state constantly.
Because they're essentially because he's essentially trying to rescue Billy. He thinks something's up with Billy, and he's out looking for him, and finds a whole lot more than he bargained for. But Clarissa sets him free, and Clarissa is one of them. She's a member of the society. But for whatever love, I guess, is the reason, she's fallen in love with Billy, and she decides that she wants to rescue him from his fate. So she releases him from the noose, and he doesn't escape properly, does he? He runs further into the house. He runs upstairs and then rendezvous with his parents.
Yeah, they're up. Well, while he's doing that, he's getting
sister.
chased by the therapist with the
hand for a head.
Which is weird, the escape, because he does escape, but he runs before he runs up the stairs. Like he runs into a group of the socialites. They kind of try to subdue him, but they can't grab a hold of him, and then he runs away. But then they're all like, "Where did you go, Billy?" That whole room is very open. Did they not see him run up the stairs?
And there's a lot of them. There must be like 30 people in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. But yeah, this is kind of my issue with the whole sort of ending as well, which we'll get to.
I have an issue.
Nobody really makes any attempt to stop him.
No.
And I guess at the time they're sort of thinking, well, he's in the middle of it all anyway. We'll get to him later.
Yeah.
So while the main shunting's happening, his parents and his sister like go off upstairs to have their own little side party, which is
on the side.
It is. I mean, even by weird alien society standards, that seems to be odd behavior, because they are just going off to have some fun on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not just join in?
Exactly. It seems odd. It seems extra strange that they've gone to have their own fun. But anyway, Billy sort of runs into his parents' bedroom and finds his mother sort of, reclined on the bed, and she says, "Oh, sweet Billy, how it's very sweet of you to come and visit me." And she gets out of the bed, and she's got arms for feet, arms for legs, and she lurches towards him and unfolds, and then his sister's face
just pops up,
emerges from the crotch area, and it seems that this creature is a combination of his mother and his sister.
I've got to say, Aiden, you're doing a fantastic job of describing this, because it's incredibly hard. It's very hard to describe if you haven't seen it, or I'm not showing clips of it. I mean, I could try and show some screenshots here and there while we're doing this.
I mean, it does have to be seen.
You have to see it.
You have to see it. It has to be seen. Because thank you, Tom, but I don't feel like my descriptions really do it justice. Then Daddy Dearest pops up, and his face is through his backside.
This made me laugh.
Which is a callback. He says something like, "Oh, I guess you were right, Billy. I am a butthead." Or there is a callback to him,
and then he's
calling him a butthead earlier in the.
He's like blowing farts.
Yeah, he starts making fart noises, and they're menacing him and chasing him, and he runs out of the room and he back downstairs, and it's straight. And then he has a fight with Ferguson.
Now, this was where I had a big problem.
Okay. You take over then. You run with this.
I need to take over. I'm just this. You've just had this. The whole film build up to the shunting, basically. You didn't know it was coming, but you had this whole film build up to it. To then bring it back down to you and me, one-on-one, mano. There's a bunch of 20 aliens sucking off Blanchard and becoming one big random thing over there, but you want to have a one-on-one fight. What? What about all
It
them?
is-
What about them?
Yeah, it is odd. It is odd because I don't think we've quite had the build up to them being these great rivals either.
No,
really,
not
he
at
does
all.
have a run in with him earlier in the, but it's not. It's not like he's constantly harassed by him throughout. And also, there's absolutely nothing to suggest that if he beats the one-on-one fight with Ferguson, they'll let him go peacefully. It's odd.
It's
But-
really bizarre. Really bizarre. It's very of the time. I think it's a very 80s, like you
Yeah.
said, high school. You and me, bozo, one-on-one.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. You know, this abomination is just happening.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, Puck, let's go. Come on. I'll fight for
And
her
they do
love.
and they do just start brawling. Like it's just
Billy gets
it's
it.
just a normal in the first instance for the beginning. It is just a normal punch up. They're rolling around on the floor and hitting each other.
Billy gets his ass whoop.
Yeah. Until he goes for the low blow
Yeah,
crotch shot, and also bends his arm because
his
Ferguson's
stretch
gone all
Armstrong.
flexible.
Yeah, his
He
stretch
just
Armstrong
bends his
arm.
arm.
That wasn't a good
And-
effect.
And essentially repeats with Ferguson what the judge did to Blanchard. So it's the old arm up though, and operates him like a finger
Yeah.
puppet. Pulls
That was
all-
cool.
push-
That was cool. Yeah.
pushes all his eyes out and stuff.
But then he grabs it and pulls him inside
and
out.
pulls him down.
That
and
was really
inside
cool.
out.
I like that effect.
Which is it's a great effect, but we're also left with this impression that like they're all really fragile. Like if he can literally just insert an arm and turn him inside out, he probably could have torn apart everybody in that room without much trouble, and therefore probably wasn't really in any danger to begin with.
Yeah. Or look at again, we don't really know what they're made of, what they've got inside, because are they alien? Like what? It's so vague.
Well,
what are they
we
made
do
of?
get a
Tissue?
shot. We do get a shot of like the inside out Ferguson, and it seems to be worms in a skin. Basically,
Yeah, the
They
gooey
do
worms.
just seem to be sort of made of like a massive wormy tentacles wrapped in flesh, or something of that nature. But yeah, so they have this, and then essentially he just leaves. He just leaves, and everybody just watches this happen. Everybody else just watches this happen,
This bothered me so much.
and
Just goes.
he grabs Clarissa. He goes. They run outside, and it finishes. It's literally that's it. It just ends.
Walks out, punches his dad on the way, calls him a butthead again because his dad. Yeah, the dad has suddenly transformed back into a normal human being with his suit on. Downstairs, punches him, calls him a butthead, and leaves. It's like, I thought you wanted him. You went through all this hard work and effort to get Billy.
I mean, they've been raising him for like 18 years, presumably.
Yeah.
It's not ever explained how. Assume they adopted him through the normal sort of channels. It's never really addressed how he ends up, how he came to be adopted by the family.
Yeah.
But yeah, he essentially just like storms out and slams the door, taking his girlfriend and his mate with him, and credits. That's it.
Zip, zip.
It's such a strange. It ends as abruptly as it starts, without any real. The society is still. He doesn't destroy everybody. The society is going to presumably continue to do that. Do these activities and feed in this way or whatever is actually going on. Because, like I say, we don't.
Well, the
It's
judge
not fully explained what the shunting is.
The judge alludes to they're in LA, and he says to Ted, "I've got an opening for you in Washington." So he's like alluding to the fact that this could be a countrywide or global-wide society that spreads.
I mean, I think that is if again, I think we are. That's left to sort of make our own minds up about it. But I think we are led to believe with that comment that it's the elite of certainly the US, I mean, possibly globally, but the elite society in the world is these primordial worm creatures. And we've got an opening for you in Washington does suggest that the government is these creatures as well, and they feed off the poor. But yeah,
a little bit of they live. A little bit of they live amongst it. Yeah. Well, where would the story go from here? I mean, we just talked about with the thing. You don't need to know, but I'm just hypothetically, where would the story go? Where would Billy and Milo go from here? Like, they know all of this. They've seen this. What?
I mean, well, you don't know. That's it. They've got to presumably live normal. Either they form an underground terrorist cell and attempt to take down the upper echelons of society.
Yeah.
Because they feel like they've got to destroy, as you know, quite rightly, they feel like they have to destroy these murderous creatures, or they try and get on with their lives with that knowledge and pretend that none of it's happened. Although his girlfriend is one. Clarissa is one of them. So, I mean, their wedding night's going to be interesting. I mean, do they eat normal food? Is it ever established that they, you know, if the shunting is a way of feeding, is that the only way that they can get sustenance?
Don't know.
Can they just go to Jack in a Box or whatever other fast
Wow,
foods?
you pulled that out. Wow, what a play.
I didn't want to go for the obvious. In-N-Out Burger. That's an LA one, isn't it?
So Wendy's.
Can he just take her to Dairy Queen, or are they gonna have to, you know, start breeding slugs or something? I don't know. I really don't know.
This film, weirdly, like Maximum Overdrive, I did think you could narrow this down to another little creep show episode. I really think you could.
Yeah.
Because the paranoia starts from the beginning. You just cut a lot of that out. I feel like you could.
I think so. And I think a lot of that build-up is kind of repetitive. And is essentially a lot. I think you could set up the same. You could set up that paranoia in a shorter time frame than what they do. A lot of it is sort of drawn out and padding, and a lot of people running around in the dark, being mysterious. So yeah, it probably could be another. It could be a creep show episode. Feels like something that's been drawn out a little bit.
Yeah, not just creep show. Yeah, a horror compilation film, whatever.
Yeah, something of that ilk.
Yeah.
Something of that ilk, a VHS segment. Just some sort of vignette. It does feel a little drawn out, but it's very abrupt start, it's very abrupt ending, and it's a whole lot of weirdness.
Yeah.
And we likened it to a roller coaster. It feels like most of the film is that climbing up of that first hill, and then you've got a wild ride, and then stop, just ends. And you think, well, that was society then.
The shunting scene, I vividly remember it. It's one of those things where you remember. I guess it's like a Mandela effect, where you remember from such a long time ago. I remember it being longer and more gruesome than that.
I had exactly the same thing. So it was the second time I watched it.
Yeah.
And like I said to you earlier, I did need to watch it again, because the way I remembered it was a lot more gruesome.
Yeah.
And a lot more, drawn out and elaborate, and seeing a lot more. I don't know if there are alternate cuts of the film.
Don't know. Not sure. I haven't seen if there's any alternative cuts.
I'm just going to have a quick Goog.
Do you know there was meant to be a sequel?
Oh, really?
There was a planned sequel in 2013 called Society 2 Body Modification. And it didn't it didn't fulfill its prophecy of being released or being made. Thank God it's not a film that needs a sequel. I think it would if you had another sequel with different, probably more modern effects, and another scene like the shunting, it would really downplay the effect that the shunting scene has in the original film. You know, you leave that as it is. It's a unique, one of a kind film.
The other thing about it is, and I know, giving me the same thing in a different setting. For other franchises, you couldn't do it. I think with this, you would have to essentially it would just be the same thing again. It would just be the same thing again with, different accents, maybe. Or
because you already know what's going on. You can't do a film of paranoia. This in theory is a film you only get that feeling of suspense and intrigue from watching it once.
Because that is it. Once you've got the reveal, once you know what's happening, that is it. Yeah. It does, like you say, it can only really be a one-off. And for the same reason, probably doesn't stand up to many rewatches.
No, I don't think it will, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I think as a film, I personally enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It's a good film. It's not so much not got much rewatchability. If that's a real word, because it's a bad film. It is a good film. It's just that, like, once you've seen it, either that or need to give it a long time before I watch it again.
That's the thing. You need some length. Yeah, you need some length between watches. Like I said, the second time I watched it, and I did feel like I needed, for the purposes of talking about it and doing the pod, I did need to rewatch it again to refresh my memory.
Yeah.
But for the entertainment value of it, I didn't feel, you know what I mean? I was watching it the second time last night, and I didn't feel like...
Yeah.
I needed to see it from an entertainment point of view. I could have gone a couple of months longer. That being said, I will 100% recommend that people watch this.
Agreed.
Because it's so weird.
You need to see it. You need to see it.
It needs to be. The effects are great. It builds. You don't see it coming, I'm sure. I mean, obviously, if you are listening to this before watching it, then it's been slightly spoilt for you. But you should still witness those effects and things for yourself. But if you were going into it completely blind, you can't really see that coming in what happens in that particular way. It's so out there, so unique.
You do say that, but I've just found the Blu-ray. Arrow Films have a there's not 4K, but it's a Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Blu-ray 4K? Blu-ray 4K? No, Blu-ray is a higher resolution than HD, but it's not 4K, I believe. I probably butchered that. This is the Blu-ray cover, and I think this is you've probably seen it.
The fleshy cover,
it's such a wrong choice for this film. It needs to be what the poster is, where the poster gives a little bit of away about the face disfiguration, but
I mean, I do like that cover.
It's great.
It looks like a death metal album. I do like it. Could be a Cannibal Corpse album cover or something like that. I do like it, but I agree. If it's maybe giving, if you put that on, having never seen it before, and you put that on, and it's, you get this teen high school, almost sex comedy vibes. In the first instance, you would be thinking, well, hang on a minute, when does the weird flesh amalgamation come into it? So you would be expecting something to happen, but I do like that cover. I do think it's cool.
It's a piece of art.
I think it's the age of the film, isn't it? And I think the age of the if you are a horror fan, but you probably haven't seen it like yourself, you've probably at least heard of it or maybe seen clips of it and things like that. So enough time has passed that perhaps they thought, let's lean into the hook of that film, which
Yeah.
is the shunting scene. But yeah, like, as I said, definitely, if you've not seen it, check it out, because seeing is believing, and I don't think I'm articulate enough to describe it in the exact gooey detail that it perhaps deserves.
Yes, you need to watch it. Yeah, and we highly recommend watching it. We really do.
Yeah, absolute my final note is absolute madness. 5 stars.
5 stars. Wow. Wow.
I mean, I maybe wouldn't go quite that high. I think maybe I'd give it a 4 though. For a first watch, if you've not seen it before, 4 stars. It's definitely worth seeing.
I think
whether it stands up to repeated viewings, probably not so much. But first time you watch it, yeah, you'll love it.
And I don't think as well you'd be bored watching it. I think it really keeps your attention throughout the film because of the fact you're going. You're trying to work out what's going on.
Yeah.
Good pick. This is it
was one of my picks.
This was a good pull, and couldn't really do too much promotion on this because of people that hadn't seen it. You can't really show too much. You don't want to give away too much.
No, I mean, perhaps we should have said at the top of the episode, like, if you haven't, go and watch it.
Yeah,
before.
Go watch it.
It's a little bit late for that now.
A little bit late. Why don't you go watch it now? Yeah. So I guess that's pretty much it for me with this.
That covers it for me as well. That's all my notes covered.
Great film, great recommendation. Couple more to go until we take a little break, which would be the one you're ready to go for next week. You're ready to go.
I am ready. It's the Mummy next week.
No, it's the Exorcist next week.
Oh, is the Exorcist next week? Okay. I know you're pulling my leg.
Yes. We're finally back to Monsters of Universal next week with our little re-rundown of Frankenstein. We won't do too much on that, I doubt. Well, we'll see. See how much time we've got. Then on to the Mummy and everything Boris Karloff related. And then following that, 2 weeks left of The Exorcist and Return of the Living Dead.
Yes.
Looking forward to that. Looking forward to all of it. So, and if any more trailers come out in that time, if the Saw one should be coming out pretty soon.
There should be a Saw one soon.
Yeah. So we'll be looking into that. You can find that on the channel along with our new trailer reaction, which we mentioned earlier on, The Exorcist Believer. That is up now by the time this is out, so that is up on the YouTube channel. It's not right now as of recording, but it will be as of release. It is up on the YouTube channel, and that is the Dreadcast on YouTube. And you can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, Podbean, and YouTube, which I just said, all by searching the Dreadcast.
And if you want to send us some email, you can at thedreadcastpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear some feedback, some suggestions, requests, or just to say hi. Please get in touch.
Good topics. Like, we had a good one today about The Thing. I enjoyed that. It was good. Yep. Check us out on Twitter and Instagram as well, the _Dreadcast. And now that wraps it up. Next time.
Wraps it up.
Back to the
next time.
The old days of the Mummy and all that wonderful Universal monsters. Stay spooky, folks.
Stay spooky.
Stay spooky.